everyone, and welcome to a new edition of Africa Today. The Egyptian diplomacy is still on continuing, actually, with utmost effort to prevail the peace and process in the whole region. Actually, Egypt is trying on all levels, on the regional and international level, for reaching a comprehensive ceasefire in Gaza, ending the genocide war of Israel and the Gaza Strip. This was actually in content of a phone call yesterday between President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi and US President Joe Biden. They tackled, of course, in the phone call the latest development on the ground on the concerning the Gaza war. And the two presidents actually discussed the de-escalation in the region and the regional developments and the tension in the Middle East, reviewing the latest efforts by Egypt and the US, Qatar, with Egypt, of course, to secure a ceasefire in Gaza and to de-escalate current regional escalation.
Fattah el-Sisi discussed with U.S. President Joe Biden regional developments and the tensions in the Middle East, reviewing the latest efforts by Egypt, the U.S. and Qatar to secure a ceasefire in Gaza and to de-escalate current regional tensions. Both presidents affirmed their commitment to these efforts to de-escalate the situation and restore regional peace and security. The call el-Sisi received from his U.S. counterpart also addressed current concerns about the expanding conflict in the region. President el-Sisi highlighted Egypt's view on the serious repercussions of the ongoing war in Gaza and its negative impact on regional stability, emphasizing that achieving a ceasefire in Gaza is essential for restoring calm and stability. According to the White House, President Biden thanked President el-Sisi for his determined leadership in the facilitation of negotiations that have now reached a final stage. The two presidents agreed to continue their intensive joint efforts to secure a ceasefire and to work towards implementing the two-state solution as the main guarantor of the stability and security for all the region's peoples.
Welcome back again, dear viewers, and to discuss the pivotal role for Egypt as a peacemaker and strategic peace partner in the Middle East, not only actually in the Middle East, but actually in the whole world. To discuss this and to shed more light about this, we are delighted to have on the phone His Excellency Ambassador Medhat Meligy, former Assistant Foreign Minister. Your Excellency, welcome. Hello?
Thank you very much for having me.
Thank you very much for joining us. First of all, Your Excellency, we'd like to highlight the pivotal role of the Egyptian diplomacy concerning the genocide war in Gaza, regionally and internationally, and how it's essential really for the peace process or trying to reach a ceasefire in the whole region.
Well, actually, I mean, the Egyptian efforts ever since this war started, or this genocide actually started in October last year, and Egypt did not spare any efforts to try to calm the situation and to ease the suffering of the Palestinian people, and to try to reach a fair deal between the Israeli side and the Palestinian resistance movements. And unfortunately, although the efforts of Egypt that were actually praised on so many occasions from various heads of states and in the United States, Mr. Biden himself praised the Egyptian efforts, or on the European scene, everybody knew exactly the role that Egypt was playing in order to try to reach something. But as we have seen in the last 300 days, and even more than 300 days, whenever Egypt is trying to reach an agreement, and after the obtention of Hamas agreement, the Prime Minister of Israel would be doing something to escalate the war and to actually sabotage any
Yeah.
efforts done by Egypt in order to escalate the war on one hand and secure his position as the Prime Minister of Israel, since he lost his credibility in the eyes of the Israeli public, and actually there is a lot of demonstrations asking to remove him from power and to replace the current extreme right government with another government that would actually try to reach an agreement to exchange prisoners and to get back the hostages.
Yeah.
But I mean, besides this situation where the Israeli public is against their own prime minister, we have to be clear that the Israeli public is not against the genocide that is taking place in Gaza, but he is against not recuperating the hostages from the Palestinian resistance movement. This is their main concern, but they don't mind at all the war against, or the genocide that is taking place against the Palestinian people. Not just that, I mean, we've seen in several polls run by various Israeli authorities and universities that over 98% of the Israeli people do not see that the firepower used by the IDF is more than what it should. Actually, they went against the Palestinian people. So on the genocide, there is no difference between the leaders of Israel and the people of Israel. The only problem is that we have to get our hostages back and then continue with the war. This is, in short, the messages of the Israeli people, including the ones who are demonstrating in the streets.
Yeah. Your Excellency, President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi declared several times and highlighted the negative impacts of the expansion of the war, which actually Israel is doing right away in all fronts around, not only in Gaza, West Bank, Lebanon, Iran, and everywhere. So also he highlighted the repercussions of that expansion of the war for the whole region. Also, we are talking about, he declared also and called upon the international community to resume its responsibility. When we talk here about the international community, we talk about ICJ, we talk about ICC, do we talk about the General Assembly, the Security Council, or what? No, any international organization had made anything or a sort of obligation to Israel, even referring to the last decision of the ICJ, as they decided that all the occupation of Israeli and the Palestinian territories are all illegal. How you elaborate this?
Well, I mean, let's try to be very direct in this approach. Israel and its first accomplice, which is the United States, the United States is the main and maybe at some points the sole provider of weapons to Israel. And even in times of genocide, where, as you mentioned, the ICJ and the ICC are accusing the state of Israel and the Prime Minister and his Minister of Defense of committing a genocide and war crimes, you find complete backing up from the United States, which make it more isolated in front of the international community. Even the Europeans sometimes find themselves in a position where they cannot defend the Israeli policies. Nevertheless, we haven't seen from the European or from the American administration any thinking of holding weapons from Israel. I mean, just yesterday and the day before, the MK-83 and the MK-84, which are very severe and very strong bombs. The first one is half a ton each, and the second one is 1 ton per bomb, which are capable of killing more Palestinians. The United States have given the authority to deliver those weapons. So Israel thinks that it's okay to continue the genocide since it's getting a continuous and endless supply of arms to continue the genocide, which means that the United States is okay with that. I wouldn't stop very much in front of the language used by the American administration on several occasions, which that they're displaying their discontent with what Israel is doing. But on the ground, on a practical level, they are supplying Israel with whatever it needs to continue waging its war on the Palestinian unarmed civilians, which is actually show a kind of hypocrisy from the Western hemisphere regarding the Israeli genocide. On one hand, they say that they do not accept totally the Israeli actions, but on the other hand, they still keep providing it with weapons, which means that it's okay to continue what you are doing. And that's the real problem. That's why the Egyptian efforts, although very strong and although very sincere, never reached an agreement, simply because Israel do not want to reach that agreement. And why should it continue with any peace process, since it knows that it can continue going on, especially at this year of election? But and here I want to underline something very important. Mr. Biden, the President of the United States, has a golden opportunity, since he is not presenting his candidature to become the next American president in the next 4 years, from this year until 2028. He has a golden opportunity to stop Israel from committing the genocide. He's not risking any political future, like many other politicians who fear of their future if they stand against Israel, since Israel has the capacity of buying voters to elect this or that candidate for any position in the American administration. And they have said it proudly. I mean, the AIPAC, the Jewish, which represent the Jewish lobby in the United States, are proudly saying the million of dollars that they spent on the candidates in order to secure the needs of Israel. And as we are seeing it, it's true fact that Israel is enjoying a privilege that no one else in history have ever enjoyed. So unfortunately, we cannot see a real game changer in this genocide until the United States seriously try to take a real step towards calming Israel and stopping it from continuing with this war. Mr. Biden has the opportunity. Let's hope that he uses this power of not being scared for his political future, and do something to stop Israel from continuing this aggression against the Palestinian people and other Arab nations like Lebanon, like Iran. Well, Iran is not an Arab nation, but still in the region of the Middle East and could escalate the war. And here I want just to end with saying one thing. Although that Iran is supposed to be talking about its next step, about the retaliation from the killing of Ismail Haniyeh, but all the response that we are getting are coming from the United States, that Iran is going to retaliate today, is going to retaliate tomorrow, and Iran doesn't say a thing. As if there is a wish, an American wish or a Western wish for Iran to escalate this war in order to give Israel the alibi or the excuse to continue waging its war on the Arab people.
Yeah, and the question is always, I mean, when we can get the Gaza Strip or the Palestine in general out of this bottleneck. Who knows, as long as the superpower, the United States of America, the greatest ally to Israel, so we do not know, we never know, and we do not even believe any longer in the international organizations. Your Excellency, Ambassador Medhat Meligy, former Assistant Foreign Minister, thank you for joining us. Thank you. Well, we talk about another important meeting also concerning the peace process in the Middle East, and a meeting with Foreign Minister Badr Abdelati and the Foreign Minister also of Jordan. The two ministers, they discussed, of course, the latest developments on the ground in Gaza Strip and the genocide war of Israel, and the miserable conditions of the people and the Palestinians in Gaza. Let's watch this.
Minister of Foreign Affairs Badr Abdel Ghouti and his Jordanian counterpart Ayman Safadi agreed in a phone conversation on coordinating Egyptian and Jordanian positions to reach a ceasefire in the Gaza war and de-escalate regional tensions. According to a statement by the Foreign Ministry, the discussions confirmed a shared vision between the two countries that the immediate step needed to stop the current escalation in the region in reaching a ceasefire in the Gaza war and ensure the delivery of humanitarian aid to the Palestinians in the Strip. This must be followed by addressing the root cause of the crisis in the region through steps to establish an independent Palestinian state. Abdel Ghouti emphasized to Safadi Cairo's belief that the current regional instability and increased risks of a broader conflict could lead to catastrophic consequences. The two top diplomats affirmed that this instability is a direct result of the negative impacts of the ongoing war in Gaza and the international community's failure to pressure Israel to halt its aggression against the Palestinian people.
Still talking first about the genocide war in Gaza and the unhumanitarian conditions which are the Palestinians are leading in the Gaza Strip, and of course they have no fuel, no food, no water, no hospitals, no schools, no place to flee and to refugee, nothing. Actually they have nothing. So the EU's top diplomat condemns Gaza starvation that Israeli minister called moral. The European Union High Representative Josep Borrell on Monday condemning the worsening humanitarian situation in Gaza and urging Israel to hold actions that could further imperil the besieged region's starving civilian population.
European Union High Representative Josep Borrell condemned the worsening humanitarian situation in Gaza, urging Israel to halt actions that could further imperil the besieged region's starving civilian population. Borrell also raised concerns about the destruction of key civilian infrastructure, such as the sanitation and health systems, which are causing the spread of infections and disease among the population. Borrell's statement came hours after Israel Finance Minister suggested letting Gaza civilians die of starvation was justified and moral in response to Hamas keeping Israel hostages. Major humanitarian organizations have been speaking out for months about the urgent need for a ceasefire in the Gaza war, highlighting the severe impact on civilians, save the children, stress that humanitarian workers and operations must also be protected. According to Palestinian health authorities, over 39,000 Palestinians have been killed since Israel launched its military offensive in response to the 7 of October attacks by Hamas.
Well, unbelievable. Israel and Israeli minister, he's calling for starvation for the Palestinians on the Gaza Strip, more starvation actually. No comment. So, and by this we come to the end of our edition of today's Africa Today, and thank you for watching.